After spending over a month traveling by bicycle together, this isn't the typical farewell you'd expect. But then again, there's hardly anything typical about our trip.
Snap!
I think what's important is to remember how many good stories that you have to tell, because I'm pretty sure that I could be a stand-up comedian with the little mishaps along the road, because my bike didn't run half the time, and it's still frustrating when you have 12 flats in 48 hours. But in retrospect, I'm really glad that I used that bike, because I think it's good as far as living in such a consumerism society to say, oh, there's still stuff that you have that will work. It's just that you have to be flexible and you have to work with it. You have to take responsibility for the fact that this is the adventure that you're on. And
Cali's bicycle, who we lovingly called Seabiscuit, wasn't the only one dealing with ailments along the road, however.
This cyst in a very personal area, and I think we made almost 300 miles. I had, to the point where I could barely walk, and I was throwing up or nauseous and getting to the point where I was going to be sick. And, those days you're like, why am I here? Why am I on the road? I'd rather be anywhere else. And for me, I just had to focus on the fact that this is such a beautiful environment. All you have to do is look around and look up. And it's just, the whole thing is just like anything else in life. When something goes wrong, you have to push through it and get to the other side. As a lot of people have said, your car or your house can sometimes be your cage. Part of adventure is what's behind the corner and what's the unexpected. Once you, put any kind of wall up around yourself, it limits the amount of interaction you're going to have with other people or wildlife or even scenery. For me, even hitchhiking, it's it brings this extra element, because you're going to meet someone who's going to know someone else who's going to know of something like a brew fest. And so, those added elements of things that you didn't expect is what makes the adventure.
On August 3rd, Cali will board a one-way plane to Afghanistan, where she'll be working as an embedded journalist with a Marine unit.
I spent 11 months in Iraq right before I came on this trip. I got back in January.
Yep, this will be Cali's second visit as a civilian to a combat zone in less than 2 years.
You need a fresh perspective anytime you go through any kind of traumatic event. There were so many times in Iraq, in the desert, in my tiny little trailer, and I'd wake up and I just was so pissed off thinking about people going backpacking and kayaking and being outside. And I would definitely advocate for not just a bike trip, but any kind of a long-term trip outdoors as a healing process. So all you have to do is get on your bike and you can totally be happy and enjoy life. At the end of every obstacle, or at the end of every 4-hour uphill ride, that there's got to be downhill. There just has to be a downhill.
Wart whale dog.
Woohoo!
Cali lives her hybrid life, one story, one misadventure at a time. Cali, thank you for joining me on the road, and be safe in Afghanistan. When it's time to come home and get back outside, just let me know.